I'm Rob.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Colin, and welcome to another exciting episode of Athletic Alert.
Westbrook picks his pocket the other way. Denied from behind by James, who tracked it the whole way. Great pass.
That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
It's in the conversation.
J.J. Watt has been the best defensive player in football.
It's taken and Hamilton beat it. This one to center field. He's got it. Mike Travis did it again. What a throw by Carlos Gomez.
All right, jumping right in with our Athletic Alerts. Rob, what do we got?
All right, I got starting pitcher Matt Harvey. Some sticky situation going on between his agent and the New York Mets organization. The New York Mets have a plan that would allow Matt Harvey to go over his pitching innings limit. That would allow him to pitch into the postseason. On Friday, Scott Boras, Matt Harvey's agent, released an innings cap to the media that would be 180 innings pitched. He suggested that the Mets exceeding that total would be in defiance of the doctor's mandates and would further hurt Matt Harvey's health. The doctor who performed the Tommy John surgery on Matt Harvey, Dr. James Andrews, recommended that Harvey throw no more than 180 innings this season, and another expert in Los Angeles says he should throw no more than 140. So far, Matt Harvey's pitched 166 and a third innings in his first season back from the Tommy John surgery. The Mets have skipped a start on August 23rd, and the GM, Sandy Alderson, says that there was no limit. It should be very interesting to see what's going to happen in the postseason if the Mets do make it, which looks very likely. Colin, what do you got for us?
All right, we're going to be talking about, if you haven't already heard, Fred Jackson just signed a one-year deal to the Seattle Seahawks. The 34-year-old Jackson was released Monday by the Buffalo Bills. Last season, he had a career-low 3.7 yards per carry. However, his 66 catches on the season were a career high. With Robert Turbin suffering a high ankle sprain and Kristen Michael not really impressing the Seattle Seahawks, they needed someone to be behind Marshawn Lynch, and he should play a lot of the downs for the Seahawks this season in passing situations. Yep. Jesse?
All right, we're going to stick to the NFL. We're going to talk about Tim Tebow. Something interesting happened actually today. The Philadelphia Eagles have released Tim Tebow. Even after he played well in the preseason, it just didn't work out for him and the Eagles. That means that Philadelphia is going to go with just two quarterbacks, Sam Bradford and Mark Sanchez. Chip Kelly actually liked Tebow's mobility, and he thought they were going to use him in good situations for running quarterback situations. But in the end, Kelly decided not to use a roster spot on an extra quarterback. So Tebow is now an NFL free agent. We're going to stay in the NFL, and I'm going to quickly talk about Tom Brady. Originally had a 4-game suspension because of the underinflated footballs in the AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts. But U.S. District Judge Richard M. Berman said that NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell went too far in affirming punishment of Tom Brady, so Berman, the judge, erased the quarterback's 4-game suspension. You can hear the full story on that and our opinions if you check out our Deflategate debate, which will be out today. So check that out after this video.
All right.
So
I'm going to move on to Truth or Trash.
all right, Jesse, we're going to go into the NFL with our truth or trash statement. What do you got for us?
All right, well, ESPN's front page featured Matthew Berry and his bold predictions for the NFL season. He made one for each of the 32 NFL teams. We found his Arizona Cardinals statement very intriguing, so we decided to bring it onto the show. Barry's bold prediction is John Brown will finish with over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns this season. Guys, what do you think about that?
I'm going to have to go with trash. I mean, Carson Palmer, and I don't even know who the other quarterback is on that team.
Yeah.
The team, I feel like it's very dysfunctional right now. I mean, they do have Patrick Peterson, but that's on defense. John Brown, I mean, he's not a star. He's not an elite athlete. Matthew Berry has made bold predictions every year. Some of them are right. Some of them are completely off. I think this is one of his statements that's completely wrong. And Colin, you agree?
No, I don't, Rob. I think his prediction is a pretty good one. Because, last season, Carson Palmer was out a lot of weeks. So they had quarterbacks coming in and out, and even with all those quarterback changes, I believe John Brown finished with over 700 yards receiving.
696, I think.
696, but
bad.
still close to 700. I mean, for him to bump up 300 more yards, get a couple more touchdowns, I think it's pretty likely, especially because, I mean, Larry Fitzgerald's a little bit on the decline. So, I mean, and he's a playmaker, John Brown.
Yeah, but Larry Fitzgerald was on and off the field a lot last season. He was with injuries. So I feel like, and they didn't have Carson Palmer for half the season, so they had to depend on that guy, one guy for the whole season.
I'm actually going to say this is all. I'm going to agree with Rob on this one. I think this statement is trash. John Brown actually played all 16 games last season. It doesn't seem like he did because you don't really think of him as that kind of guy. But he did play all 16 games, finished with 696 yards and 5 touchdowns. So I can't see him basically doubling both of those this year, especially he played 16 games. That's the most you can play. He's going to try to do it again. I think he will improve and get some better stats than last year because, you know, their quarterback situation was terrible last year. They didn't really have Palmer. They kind of never had a set quarterback. Fitzgerald is going to be kind of not really on the field all the time, on the decline, and I think Brown will be one of their best receivers, if not the best, but I don't see him reaching 1,010.
But I mean, Carson Palmer throws the ball down the field a ton, and John Brown loves to run.
Yeah, who says Carson Palmer can't get hurt just like he did last year? How old is he now, 37?
And I think Carson Palmer is going to use more of his wide receivers. He's not just going to depend on one like his backup did through the second half of the season last year.
You do have to like about John Brown, he makes a lot of big plays, so touchdowns are definitely something that are good for him. He can definitely get like a 60 or 70 yard touchdown once in a while that can help the Cardinals out. But I don't see him getting 10.
I think it's the truth. I mean, it could easily go either way. I don't think it's just a totally bold, crazy prediction. I think it's reasonable.
I don't think it's crazy. I think it can happen, but I don't see it.
All right, so let's move on to our next truth or trash statement. We're going to take a statement from Stephen A. Smith, an analyst, a sports analysis on ESPN. He said that Carmelo Anthony has been trying to persuade Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant to come to New York and play for the New York Knicks. That's in the NBA. Both Kevin Durant and Bryant will be free agents in the summer of 2016. So our truth or trash statement is, well, Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant will join the New York Knicks in the future.
Oh, well, Kevin Durant or Kobe Bryant, one of them will.
Or them,
Okay.
or even both.
Okay.
So Jesse, truth or trash?
I'm gonna go with trash on that one again. I can't see a guy like Kobe. I can see him finishing out on the Lakers or maybe even retiring soon. I definitely can't see him on the Knicks. And with KD, I know it's been said that he's giving serious consideration to going to the Knicks when he's a free agent next offseason. But I really can't see him as a Knick playing with Melo. They're both kind of primary scorers, and I can't really see them balancing that out on the same team. Also, they play the same position. They would have to slide one of them down to the power forward. And I don't know if they'd both be happy on the same team. And also, the Knicks might not want to spend that kind of money on two guys.
I think I'm gonna go with truth, and it's a tough like line across there. I mean, you know, if anybody's gonna persuade KD or Kobe to come to New York, it's got to be Melo because
Obviously.
So I guess he's the only guy who could.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's gonna convince anybody. I don't see Kobe ever going to the Knicks. I don't see it happening. I think he'll finish his career as a Laker. But Kevin Durant's a little bit interesting because, you know, he's out there looking for a team. I mean, the New York Knicks have plenty of cap space. They could probably spend it. But like you said, I do understand that it would be tough for one team to go in and spend so much money on two players because if one of them or both of them were to get injured, then they look like total idiots over there. But if he were to come there, I mean, ticket sales might go up. You got another star there. I could see it happening.
Well, I'm going to have to go with trash on this. Kevin Durant has said he likes the idea of going back home. He saw LeBron do it. We all did. So he was raised in Washington. They just hired his former high school coach to be the head coach of the Washington Wizards. He likes John Wall. And if I don't see him going to the Knicks necessarily, but I like the Wizards as a better choice. You have to think about it too. Those guys like having the ball in their hands and they like making plays by themselves. Melo likes the ball in his hands. so does Kobe Bryant. We all know those memes. Kobe Bryant doesn't like to pass and everything. So I don't understand how those 3 or even 2 of those guys would work out with 2 ball hogs playing with each other. That's why Melo didn't play with James Harden. So I can't see those guys who one of them play the same position. I don't see any of those guys willing to play a different position just so the other guy can get the ball more when they like being the dominant player on the court.
I agree with that. They won't really help each other if they're both primary scorers and want the ball in their hands. They won't both be happy. But I'm sure Melo would slide down to the power forward if he had to with the addition of KD on the Knicks. But in general, I definitely don't see Kobe going to the Knicks. If it were to happen, KD go to the Knicks, I'd be really interested to see how that turned out for them.
Yeah.
But I really don't see it.
And I even see, like, I want to chime in on the Washington Wizards thing. I mean, sometimes money talks. I mean, do you think the Washington Wizards would pay more than the Knicks? I mean, I think the Knicks would put up a high price
with
tag.
all the moves they're making, they're trying to persuade him to come. Like I said, they hired his former high school coach, John Wall and Gortat, and they just need that one more big guy, and it looks like it's going to be him. But let's move on to our NFL Truth or Trash statement. Colin, what's our statement?
Well, NFL, we're jumping into the MLB. It's all right. It's all good. We're going.
All right.
If any of you have seen, I mean, I'm sure tons of you have, the great movie Back to the Future. Back to the Future Part 2, which was released in 1989. There were many 2015 predictions. A baseball prediction from the movie caught our eyes. What was the prediction? The Chicago Cubs will win the 2015 World Series. I cannot wait to talk about this on Truth or Trash, because how perfect is it that the Chicago Cubs have been struggling for years in 2015, now they're starting to make a push for the playoffs.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Why don't you start it off? You're so excited about it.
Alright, I'm so excited. I think it's going to be the truth. I have sweeping truths on all of these.
Oh, God.
And listen, here's what I'm going to say. I'm not saying that the Chicago Cubs are the best team in baseball right now. Obviously, their record is great, but it doesn't mean they're the best team in baseball. The Royals and the Cardinals have better records.
Yeah.
But
Record doesn't mean
I just think it would be awesome if they were to win the World Series. For a prediction like that to happen so long ago and for it to come true would be great. And I think they have 2 great starters in Jake Arrieta and John Lester. John Lester has great playoff experience, and they got some guys with pop. Chris Bryant, Kyle Schwarber, Anthony Rizzo. I mean, they got enough there to make the push.
Alright, I'm going to jump in.
Alright, go ahead.
I'm going to say trash on this one. And the reason why I said 2015 in the movie is because that's the time period they go to, because it's Back to the Future. And it says that they swept the Miami Marlins. So they also predicted a Miami team, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, there was no Miami team
But
before
It was the
that.
Florida Marlins back then. They predicted it to be Miami.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
But I'm going to have to go with trash, alright? And if the Chicago Cubs pulled it off, it'd be the greatest thing ever. Their team is full of rookies. When is the last time a team full of rookies? Kyle Schwarber, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, all those guys.
Anthony Rizzo's not a rookie, so I don't know.
Forget that.
I mean,
Chris
Addison
Bryant,
Russell.
Kyle Schwarber. Yeah.
Addison Russell.
Addison Russell. When all those guys combine, a rookie team, like a really young team, can win the World Series. I highly doubt that. They only have 2 shining pitchers. I like other teams, the Dodgers, the Cardinals. I'm not saying the Mets are going to win the World Series, but the Mets there. And then they have to face teams from the American League, which are tough teams like the Toronto Blue Jays, even maybe the Yankees, because I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm going to say that. But I'm going to say trash.
Chicago Cubs are in the National League. Like, are you off today?
I'm saying that they're going to have to face them if they get to the World Series.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's what I was
I
talking
can see
about.
that.
Alright. Anyways,
Isn't that true?
yeah, it is. But I think this is a little bit of trash. And I actually think that it definitely can happen. I can totally see it. And that would be awesome for the people that made Back to the Future. But, I mean, I think it's a little too bold to say that they will. As a wild card team, yeah, the Giants did it last year. The Royals even made it with them. But I think it's too bold to say that the Chicago Cubs will win the 2015 World Series. And definitely, even if they beat the Pirates in the wild card game, which is harder than it sounds, they have to go against the Cardinals, the best team in baseball. The Cardinals, I think pitching is very important in the playoffs. I'm definitely pitcher heavy. That's why I think the Mets can even do well,
Yeah.
the Dodgers. But the Cardinals have actually a 2.72 team ERA which is by far the best in the league this year. They also have the most quality starts for any team pitchers this year, which it shows that their pitchers can go deep into games, which is good for the playoffs. They also have the most saves for any MLB team. So their pitching,
that's crazy.
Their pitching is just ridiculous this year. Even though they lost Adam Wainwright, the other guys stepped up, and there's nothing wrong with their hitting either. I mean, Matt Holiday's still out, but they're such a good team. They're such a complete team. Their defense is good too. There's nothing wrong with the Cardinals. But if the Cubs did happen to beat the Cardinals in that series after they beat the Pirates, which will happen, then I will say the Cubs will win.
I mean,
series.
but that's even if, if the season ended today. I mean, there's still a ton of baseball left to go.
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective,
the wild card's kind of locked though.
I think the wild card is pretty locked. I mean, the Cubs have a 7.5 game lead on the second spot, and the Pirates are 4 above them in the first place spot. I think they're the two that are definitely going, but who knows? I mean, that division with the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Cubs, you still got about 2 to 3 weeks left of baseball. I'm not saying the Cardinals go off a cliff and go 0-21, but let's say they did, and the Cubs win the division.
I understand.
Could happen.
It could happen. I'm not just saying the Cubs can't win because they're playing the Cardinals next, but if they did, I don't think that would work out for them. If it did, the Cubs could win the World Series. But again, there's other teams besides the Cardinals that can easily beat the Cubs, so it's too hard to just say the Cubs will win the World Series. They can, they could, they might, but to say they will, it's just a little too bold for me.
Okay, well, those were our truth or trash statements. Our next segment, thermostats. See what guys we chose in the MLB that have been hot and cold lately.
All right, it's time for thermostats. Starting off, we're going to Chicago. For Chicago's starting pitcher, Jake Arrieta, coming in at 118 degrees. Through the month of August, Mr. Arrieta has a 6-0 record. He's pitched 42.1 innings, and he's only given up 2 earned runs. Oh, and not to mention he threw a no-hitter against the Dodgers on August 30th. On the season, he has almost 200 strikeouts already and a 2.11 ERA. In the offseason, the Cubs signed John Lester to step up and be their ace and number 1 starting pitcher, but right now, Jake Arrieta seems to be that guy. Moving on to Colorado, we're going to go to the Rockies outfielder, Carlos Gonzalez, who comes in at 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Get this, in his last 3 games, he's gone 7 for 13, an above 500 average. He scored 6 runs, hit 5 homers, and gotten 12 RBIs. On the season, he has 36 home runs, which ranks in the top 5 in all the major leagues. And he's got 85 RBIs. This is a guy who started off slow in the first half of the season, and everyone was wondering if he was going to go on a decline because he's been bit by the injury bug the last few years. But he's starting to prove and show the whole league why he's such a great player and why he deserves to, be one of those top guys right now. I mean, he's super hot, and you gotta love him. He's got one of the sweetest swings in the MLB. The only person who I could think of that's got a sweeter swing is Robbie Cano. So we're going to move on to Jesse's thermostat, people.
Thanks, Colin. I'm going to stay in Colorado with another very hot hitter, Nolan Arenado. In his last 4 games, he's had 5 homers, and each one of them have been multi-hit games. He has 13 hits in his last 4. He is also on a 6-game streak of at least 1 hit, run scored, and RBI. He's batting .457 in his last week of games. He's having a breakout season, just like many expected, with a .288 average, 35 homers, and 103 RBIs on the season so far. He's emerging as one of the best offensive and defensive third basemen in the MLB. Now let's move on to a guy that's very cold right now, from the Seattle Mariners, Nelson Cruz, at 7 degrees. After a hot streak, Nelson hasn't posted 1 homer or RBI in the last 7 games he's played. He's had 10 strikeouts in these last 7, batting .150 and scoring 1 run. He has 39 homers on the season, which is the second most in the league after Chris Davis recently broke it at 40. But he's finding himself struggling, and we'll see if he can turn it around and bring back the powerhouse we saw in him earlier in the season. Rob, let's see who you players are.
Thanks, Jesse. Let's start off with the Mets starting pitcher, Noah Syndergaard. He is 54 degrees. That's cold for the summer. In his last 4 starts, he's pitched 23 and 2/3 of an inning. He's allowed 22 hits. He's allowed 12 earned runs, and he struck out 23 batters. Even though he is 2-0 in that time span, he has put pressure on the Mets offense to make up for his lack of consistency with strikeouts. He's very shaky on the road with an 0-5 record for the season. But at home, he's 7-1. If the Mets do make the playoffs, it'll be interesting to see how he pitches when he's not in Citi Field. Let's stay in New York, but let's go to the Bronx where the New York Yankees play, and Didi Gregorius is a steaming hot 120 degrees, the hottest player in today's thermo-stats segment. In his last 7 games, he is 14 for 30, he has 2 home runs, that's 25% of his total for the season. He has 10 runs batted in, and he's scored 7 runs. He's helping the Yankees' chances in their playoff run, and he's trying to help the Yankees catch up with the Toronto Blue Jays so they don't have to fight that 1-game wild card game. All right, that's it for Thermostat.